Fort Gordon, 1972. Advanced Individual Training, AIT. Camp Gordon, named for Confederate Lieutenant General John Brown Gordon, was activated for infantry and armor training during World War II. During the war, its 55,000 acres served as a divisional training base for the 4th and 26th Infantry Divisions and the 10th Armored Division that fought in Europe in General George S. Patton's Third Army. The inactivated 10th Armored Division still calls Fort Gordon home. After World War II, more than 85,000 officers and enlisted personnel were discharged from Camp Gordon's Army Personnel Center. Other facilities included a U.S. disciplinary barracks, and beginning in 1943, a prisoner of war camp for German and Italian World War II captives. This will be my first time at Fort Gordon, but I will return here many times in my military career. In June 1962, all activities of the Signal Corps Training Center were reorganized under the U.S. Army Southeastern Signal School. Designating the installation, the U.S. Army Signal Center, and Fort Gordon, the Army consolidated all communications training at Fort Gordon on October 1, 1974. I arrived at Fort Gordon late on May 4, 1972, to begin my Advanced Military Occupational Specialty, MOS, training. Shortly after arriving at Gordon, I was promoted to Private First Class, PFC, on 22nd of May with the Company C, 3rd Battalion School Brigade. They also offered me an opportunity to go to Officer Candidate School, OCS. This would also mean a loss of Germany. I turned down this offer also, at 19. The barracks where I lived, until I was allowed to move off post. There were 8 men assigned to each room. We would assemble outside the barracks after breakfast, and march to class. We would return, after class, and be dismissed for the day. Most of the training occurred in classrooms similar to this one. I had to pass a typing test on these machines. This was going to be one of my hardest skill to master. Passed the test with words to spare. I think they gave us an extra minute on the final test. I was able to master typing and all the other components of the Communications Center Specialist Course, 72B. On July 21, 1972, I graduated with honors and was promoted to Specialist 4, E4, at Headquarters U.S. Army Southeastern Signal School, Fort Gordon, Georgia. About halfway through Advanced Individual Training, AIT, I took a weekend to get married. I flew home on Friday, got married on Saturday, and returned to Fort Gordon on Sunday. Remember that time I got snowed in after a movie? This photo was taken in my barracks at Fort Gordon when I was getting ready to catch the plane for Ohio. This photo shows my grandmother, grandfather, myself, and Susan A. Schaff, now Mrs. Kurtzman. During my time at Fort Gordon, we had the opportunity to rent a boat on Clark's Hill Lake, now called Lake Thurmond, go to Hilton Head Island, and buy a basket of blue crabs, and learned what it was like to live in a trailer. I also took 2 physical fitness tests, PT, while at Fort Gordon. One was on June 14, 1972, with a score of 447. The other one was on July 11, 1972, with a score of 422. My weight was listed as 157 and 158 pounds, respectively. One included a 2-mile run in full uniform, with boots, which I completed in 14 minutes, which represents a score of 100. I ran into Jim Timmons, the older brother of Richard Timmons, outside of a barracks, when I was checking out of my unit. He and a few other individuals were sitting outside of the barracks smoking. I greeted him, but based on what they were smoking, quickly went on my way. June 1, 1972, West German police arrest Red Army faction leader, Andreas Botter. June 6, 1972, U.S. bombs Haiphong, North Vietnam, 1,000 killed. August 12, 1972, last American combat ground troops leave Vietnam. August 27, 1972, U.S. bombs Haiphong, North Vietnam. Before I headed to Europe, I was chosen to be a hometown recruiter, MOS 71B20, recruiter clerk, for 30 days. Which was a free trip home, for 30 days, and get paid extra for it. Sign me up. I worked, out of the Mansfield, Ohio recruiting office, and performed some exceedingly difficult tasks. One day, I was told to go to the lake, with a beach ball that had Army logo on it. Another day, to just hang out around high schools. Do not think you can do that now. Had to drive recruits, around getting their required documentation, and tests. Running paperwork to local law enforcement, for background checks. The hardest task, was to try, and help this one recruit, pass his entrance exam. After helping him with questions, and getting nowhere, I tried to get him to remember, the answers only. That did not work either. He never passed, so could not be enlisted. That was probably a good thing, not sure what he would have done, in the military. The 30 days went by quickly, and soon I was headed to Europe. Oh, that extra money they gave me, they tried to take back, while I was in Germany. It took some convincing, and persistence, but I was able to show them where they were wrong. It pays, literally, to keep all your paperwork, and may be the reason that I kept all of my paperwork all these years. I was off to Fort Dix, and McGuire Air Base, for transportation to Germany. Fort Dix, is named for Major General John Adams Dix, a veteran of the War of 1812, and the Civil War. I did not spend much time here, and was soon put on a contracted flight. I was assigned temporary duty, as Army Troop Commander, for Flight BKAX-2F7, September 9, 1972.